really does. You know, so once again, I don't even really need to give him an introduction. The guy speaks for himself, but he's just a great platform, and I think everyone should go out there and you know demo it, practice it. You got a great promotion that's going to come on right after this. So, but he's going to go over and answer some details and go over some of the questions and the great features on the TastyWorks platform. So, don't want to take too much time with him. It's always just very hard to get him around. I know he's got a lot. He's a very busy guy to have, and I know I'm going to probably bump into him next week. But let me just pass the mic over to him. And guys, enjoy the presentation. Tom, thanks for coming. Always a pleasure and an honor you to be here.
Thanks so much, Fausto, and it's great. Hang on, we're just testing sound. Are we good?
All right, we're good. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Okay, hang on, just with Britt and our tech people, so just making sure everybody's cool. Are we good?
We're good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Fausto. How you been, man?
Sorry about that. I just muted you. I'm doing great. I mean, just banging away. Market's been doing phenomenal. I mean, how could you complain? I mean, not too long ago when you were here last time, we were at 22,500. We up 1,000 points. I mean, what's there to complain? You just got to get everyone to be on the right platform, I guess, right?
Well, I got a few complaints this afternoon. There's some earnings plays that aren't going to go exactly the way I wanted them to, but we definitely have some stuff. There's definitely plenty of stuff to talk about. And yeah, I hope to see you next week. We'll be out in Las Vegas at the Traders Expo, and so you and I'll get a chance to, just to say hi and have a coffee and talk a little bit. So it'll be cool. Looking forward to it.
Same here.
All right, everybody. So I assume everybody's on and we're ready to go. And Fausto, I don't know if you have anything specific that you want me to cover today, and if there is, I'll be happy to. If not, I will just kind of go off in a couple different directions. The good news is that Scott Sheridan and Chris Grace, two of the guys that run the TastyWorks, the entire brokerage firm, Scott, who's the CEO, and Chris, who handles risk and much of the functionality that's built into the technology, are both on today. So you have the top of the food chain as far as answering any questions that you have. We do this so that I don't have to focus on the questions that have come through the webinar, and Scott and Chris can answer everything, and I can just focus on what Fausto is saying and passing on to me from the people that are listening. So welcome everybody, and thanks so much for joining us today. I know this has been a long day, long week. Like Fausto said, it's been a continuation of what we call Groundhog Day, a really solid week. Every day seems to be the exact same in the markets. This has been a grind higher that started almost a year ago to the day, just after the 2016 presidential elections, and we've been on this crazy tear almost ever since. I don't think we've had any kind of a significant pullback, and so there's definitely a few strange things going on today. If you noticed in the markets today, it was the Nasdaq was weak, the Dow was really strong, the Russell was pretty much unchanged, and the S&Ps were pretty much unchanged. After the close today, the Russell's still unchanged, the S&Ps are still pretty much the same price, but the Nasdaq has rallied almost 40, 45, about 42 handles since the close today, and that's because earnings came out in a couple of different stocks. Microsoft's about $1.40 higher right now. It opened unchanged, but about $1.40 higher. Google, as you can see here, is up almost $40, $38 on an expected move up a little bit less than that. Baidu hasn't come out yet, but it's since this is a Chinese company, it'll come out either around 6 o'clock, but I don't know, maybe they can push it out earlier, I'm not positive. And then also Amazon, which is trading for 10.50, which I don't think it's a new high, but it's up almost 75, a little over 75, $78 right now. So a huge move in Amazon, a huge move in Google to the upside, a decent sized move in Microsoft, and just an all-out big move in the Nasdaq after the close. And one of the reasons that you want to be on a platform like TastyWorks, and this is a really good intro, is that we cover all the bases, and we have this real product indifference. So if you don't mind, Fausto, the direction I was going to take this was to talk a little bit about some of the current market conditions and why it's different ways to look at the market as far as, looking at some earnings plays, looking at some durational plays, and looking at some, potential directional plays, just as a way to integrate, the use of the software into a discussion. So if that's cool with you, that's the direction I'll go. And if you want me to take it any other, anything else specifically, like to cover a specific topic or something, you can just let me know. How's that?
That's fine, Tom. And then, like you just mentioned a little bit regarding about the, about the stock trading, because a lot of our traders also are day traders, stock traders, swing traders,
Sure.
and then basically how to leverage themselves, how to use maybe an options trade on it. Maybe it's just a quick fun
Sure.
strategy for them, kind of see the benefit of it. That'd be great.
Okay, you got it, man. No problem. And like I said, I've known Fausto for a long time, and we're going back probably almost 2 decades of knowing each other and in different ways working together and doing a bunch of webinars and things like that. So we have a lot of history of having these discussions, and I think they've been really valuable over the years. So enjoy. I know Fausto comes from a stock trading background. Obviously, I come from much more of a derivatives background, options and futures, but I trade a lot of stocks as well. And the one difference that you have to know between stocks, options, or the one thing that's the same between stocks, options, and futures is that they're all just a variation of one another, meaning that stocks are the purest form, but in the purest, they also require the most capital, but they are the purest, and they have incredibly tight markets. They just have the least amount of leverage. Options have the most leverage of a stock product, but the problem with options is they also have this time value component to them and this limited duration. And then futures obviously are another static vehicle just like stocks, but futures have more leverage built in them, and they also have the cost to carry and the dividends built into the future prices. So that's kind of the difference between all three of the instruments. We trade, a small percentage of our trades are in stocks. Every day I make a bunch of stock trades, but I use stocks as what I call a static underlying. And for most people that use stocks today, you can use them like Fausto uses them, which is in a capacity of either day trading or swing trading the stocks. And you can also use them as a static component to adjust your position. And I'll kind of give you just a little bit of an example. Let's say you found a stock that you thought was a little bit oversold. I'll show you an underlying that I actually used this morning. So this morning when I came in, I thought silver it's been on its butt. Here, I'll give you a quick little graph. It's not dirt cheap, but it's lower than a lot of the other stocks right now, which are all near their highs. So I came in this morning and felt to myself like, okay, well, silver's a little bit beaten down as of late, as gold is as well. They move in high correlation to each other. So the first thing I decided, well, the problem with the silver market as far as derivatives go, and I'll just give you a really nice example of this. If you wanted to trade silver futures, the problem with silver futures is you have to do the equivalent, the minimum trade is the equivalent of 5,000 shares of SLV, which is a big trade for a lot of people. It's the equivalent of 5,000 times $16, or it's about $80,000 worth of capital. Fully margined, it's 40,000. That's a lot for some people to trade, I'm sorry, a silver future. So let's just say you want to trade a silver stock, which makes sense. So the nice thing about this platform, and other platforms too, but this is kind of the latest, greatest technology out there, is if you wanted to buy silver and let's say sell a call against it or something like that, the neat thing about TASTYWORKS is you just click on the offer and it pops in whatever your default is. In this particular account, the default is 500. And then you open up November or December options. In this case, we would open up December options, which have 50 days out. And we would choose, this is the current price where the line is in the middle of the platform. And these are 1 and 2 standard deviation moves. And that's all that is. And so you just figure out which option has the most premium that's reasonable to sell. In this case, I decided I'd buy stock right around here and I'd sell the 16 calls because that's the only call with a little bit of premium. And it's a limited profitability play. But I click on the bid, and for example, that's a covered call in silver. Now, if I wanted to scalp silver, I would just buy the stock outright. I'd get rid of this leg, and I would just buy the stock outright. And it's really easy to do on this platform. You can just buy and sell it all day long if you want to, as long as you have over $25,000 in account. That's a limitation of that's a regulatory limitation, that exceeds the pattern day trading rules. But you can just trade it all day long, and the market's 1 penny wide, and it just, as you can see, 6.5 million shares traded. If you want to do a covered call, you would just sell the calls, the nearest out of the money calls. If you wanted to make this a little bit more interesting and potentially sell a covered strangle, you can sell the call and the put, gives you a little bit more long delta. Or the neat thing about this platform is anything is configurable. You can sell twice as many calls as you want to, as against the long stock. It's still a long delta position, as you can see right here by the deltas. 500 by 10 is still, 1 by 2 is still 42 long deltas. So it's still a long delta play, but it's a really interesting way to use a very sophisticated piece of software, but simple. It's simple, sophisticated, and fast. And that's the coolest thing about this technology. And again, let me clear this and let me show you this because it's kind of neat. So the platform is designed to be, let me open up just regular strikes, close all this up. This is what the platform looks like when you first log on. If you type in something like silver, you'll see the IV rank up here of about 16, which is the measuring silver implied volatility against itself for the last year. You see a stock price, which you may or may not think is cheap. In this case, for me, it seems subjectively cheap. Click on the offer to buy, click on the stock price, which you may or may not on this platform to buy or sell. In this case, click on the offer to buy, click on subjectively cheap. But click on the want to make this offer to, so I want to buy it, and I want to sell some calls against it in December, I would sell the 16 calls. If I wanted, that's a straight covered call. If I wanted to do this as a synthetic strangle, I would just increase the number of calls, and you can do any ratio that you want, which is the cool thing. If you wanted to do I'm going to clear this out right now. And if I wanted to do it again, instead, this time do a little bit more of a bullish position, I could buy stock, I could sell the 16 calls, and I can sell the 15.5 puts, and that is what we call a covered strangle. And so there's all these different combinations that you can do, and it's kind of neat. You can do everything with one click, and you can move it all around. If you wanted to widen out these strikes, you can just drag the 15.5 puts down to the 15 and the 16 calls up to the 16.5 calls. And the platform is simple as can be to figure out kind of what to do. And that's an example of a really simplistic stock trade. Now, if you said, hey, you know what, I don't want to do that in there. I wanted to do the same thing maybe in Microsoft, because tomorrow morning, Microsoft's going to be pretty active. Stock's up, $1.50, almost $2. And maybe there's a lot of stuff going on in there tomorrow. So let's just say tomorrow morning, you wanted to fade the opening on a $2 up move. Just click on the bid. That's all you do on this platform. And then if you wanted to sell some options against that to potentially improve your basis, you might decide that you want to sell the December, let's just say the December 80 puts against it. So short stock, short puts, synthetic short call, hit the bid, there you go. It just defaults to the exact quantity. It all lays out clean as can be. There's virtually nothing else you have to do. If you want to change the strike, just drag it down 1 or drag it down 2. And that gives you different varying degrees of short positions. In this case, you're short 408 deltas. If you want to roll this up a little bit, you're short 355. If you want to take it up to the 80 puts, you're down to 278 deltas. That just shows you just different ways to reduce your risk and potentially improve your basis. It's kind of a neat way to use the platform, and I like to show people, how everything has kind of this theoretical equivalent. So for example, let's take a look at, and Fausto mentioned stock for a second. So an example here would be, let's just say you wanted to short Microsoft on a gap up opening tomorrow. You could sell 500 shares of Microsoft, your delta is minus 500. That's your directional bet in this. But let's say you didn't want to tie up all that capital using stock, and you still wanted to sell the equivalent of 500 shares. Well, there's lots of different things you can do. You can sell the 80 calls tomorrow. These will have a delta. Tomorrow will be even higher than 58. So you'd only have to sell the equivalent of, let's say, about 8 calls to equal the same 500 shares of stock. So we just change our quantity up to 8, and you'll end up with very close to the same 500 deltas, and that's a theoretical equivalent. It's kind of neat, just so you understand. It's all that options have a theoretical equivalent to stocks, stocks have a theoretical equivalent to futures, and it's just a big circle. And they're all virtually tied back into kind of the exact same underlying. Now today was an interesting day because there was a lot of earnings plays, and Microsoft is one of those earnings plays. Let me tighten up the number of strikes here so it's easier to see. So this is where the stock closed today during trading, 78.76. This is a 1 standard deviation move lower, 1 standard deviation move higher, and there was lots of play, but not in December. Let's go back to November, because this will be the most active month tomorrow. And as you can see in November, there was lots of different things that were interesting today. The implied volatility rank in Microsoft was almost a little over 75. And the expected move this afternoon with the stock just under $79, the expected move in here, and I'll show you this in one sec. Let me take you to the weeklies. All expirations. We'll open up the October weeklies. The expected move in here was somewhere around $2.50. Front month implied volatility of 112. Expectations are for volatility to collapse dramatically, and there were lots of different plays on the board. Expected move, again, is with 1 day to go, is really just the front month straddle, so you can take your pick as to which one it is. So 133 over 115 is about a $2.50 expected move. The actual move right here is about a $2.70 move. So the expected move was 250. The actual move is about 270. It's pretty damn close. If you look at the 79 straddle, 123 over 140, it's 262. That's almost exactly the move that happened in Microsoft. So what you see in the markets tends to be the pricing of the markets tends to be pretty accurate with respect to real moves. And in the case of Microsoft, just like most other stocks, when the expected move is $2.50 or $2.60, $2.70, 68% of the time or better, it falls inside of that range. And that's the cool thing to know, is that you can, with 1 day to go, you can look at this front month straddle. That means the price of the bid price on the call and the bid price on the put. You can add them together, and that'll give you an expected move approximately, and about just under 70% of the time, it will fall inside of that range. And that can make it interesting if you wanted to play October with 1 day, which will be about a wash tomorrow, or if you wanted to play December with 50 days. You can do the same thing. And tomorrow, with the stock falling right at the expected move, everything was priced theoretically correct. So some strategies will be small winners and some strategies will be small losers, but they'll all fall kind of into the middle there. And that, to me, is the fun part of trading, is, you have this binary event. It's a great engagement tool, and we have the technology that allows us to take advantage of it. And this is all relatively new. I mean, we've only put this stuff together in the last year, and over the last 20 years, we've been just developing technology that allows you to play these binary events. And before that, none of this existed. So it's all relatively new when you look at the history of trading, and you look at the history of what technology can afford you and let you do with these front-end platforms. It's really something special. There wasn't a way, when I grew up as a trader, there was virtually no way to trade earnings plays or trade binary events or trade Fed announcements. We just had to buy or sell stock or futures and hope we were right. Now there's all these different ways of not only playing the options, but putting context around those moves, like figuring out, hey, what's the expected move supposed to be? Hey, how many times does it fall inside of the expected move? What's a realistic expectation, or what's a realistic outcome? Should I take more risk than X? What's a reasonable management target? And so all that stuff is really fascinating to me. And Microsoft's just another perfect example of something that that was supposed to move a certain amount and basically moved just that much. Now, if you look at some of the crazy moves today. I'm just put my cursor over here. Amazon closed at 270 at 270. I'm sorry, at 972, and it's trading at 1,047 right now, which is a crazy move of almost $75 higher than where it closed. Let's go to Amazon for a quick second, just because it's in play this afternoon. Not because everybody trades Amazon or any of that kind of stuff, but just because Amazon is in play, so it's kind of a little bit, it's interesting. So let's take a look at the expected move in Amazon, because this works for virtually anything. So if you look at the Amazon expected move, it's about $34. So Amazon expected move of $34, and it actually moved almost $75, 2 times the expected move. So 2x of the expected move, which is huge. So let's take a quick little look and go to kind of some of the furthest out of the money options. So the 147.5, well, these markets are too wide to really, these markets are really too wide, but these are the calls that will be tested tomorrow, the 1047.5 calls. And so sometimes when you think, wow, there's a lot of free money out here, 4,000 of the 1050 calls, 2,000 of the 1040 calls. So there was a lot of people taking some shots in this area, and they're going to pay off as, some of them are going to pay off as very small marginal winners. Other ones are going to pay off as break-evens and tiny losers, believe it or not, even on a $75 move. So there's nothing assured, you know, nothing is assured at all, even if you go 2 times the expected move. I'll close this up for a second and take you out to November because it's kind of neat. So we did a bunch of, not a bunch of trades, but we did some very small trades today in Amazon and going into earnings on the close. And we sold, and I'll just show you exactly what we did. We sold the 16 Delta. We sold the 16, oh, they've already adjusted. Okay, bummer. So I can't tell you exactly. We sold the 905. We sold the 905 puts because this was the 16 Delta. The Delta has since changed because they've made the platform runs live. And we sold the 1065 calls. I believe this was the spread. And we sold this spread for about $12.50. It closed at 962, but we sold it today for about $12.50. It'll be probably a small, it'll be a wash to maybe a tiny loser. It depends where Amazon opens. Maybe a small loser. The puts will be basically worthless. The calls will be worth probably, you know, around $12 or $14 depending on where the stock opens. But that was your classic 16 Delta strength. That was your 16 Delta strength on both sides, where you're right about 70% of the time. And so we stick to those. We very much stick to those rules. Now, here's a great example of selling something for $12.50, having it close at $9.50, and deciding, okay, well, I'll just ride with it rather than take the $3 profit. And that's something that, you know, a lot of traders have to decide kind of what they want to do when you get those situations that, you know, where the profits come in before the end of the day. We decided to wait and see what happens overnight, and in hindsight, that may look like it's a mistake right now. Google is down. I'm sorry, Google is up $30, a little over $30. It closed at 972 and is trading 1005. But then I'm flipping down one strike to Baidu. Baidu is down $30. $30. And it's funny because I just rolled up my puts in there today. And so Baidu's down $30 and it closed at 260 and it's going to open at 232. So that's a surprise to the downside. So Baidu exceeded its expected move by 2x as well. So this is all really interesting because markets are fascinating. You know, Netflix was right at its expected move and it didn't make or lose anybody really. It was right where everybody expected it to be. And yet Amazon is 2x expected move higher and Baidu is 2x its expected move lower. So nobody really knows how all this stuff is going to play out. Let me show you some potential or some interesting plays on stocks that have had big moves. So for example, today, one stock that had a huge move was Celgene, and it traded almost 70 million shares. Now, a lot of the a lot of different drug companies got killed, but I'll tell you put up a quick chart of this. This is Celgene over the last couple of days. A couple of huge gaps down, and the stock ended up all the way down here today, maybe closing on a small little uptick at 99.99, but just a stock that got, annihilated the last couple of days, but it had 100% IV rank. So it became an interesting stock. We don't usually trade Celgene, but with 70 million shares trading and just tons of activity in there, I mean, I don't see how you could avoid trading it. So we looked at this stock today, and we looked at a bunch of different things. And when the stock was kind of on its butt, an example of one of the trades that we made here today was we came in here and we sold the 90 puts and bought the 85 puts. And we did this for about 93-cent credit. It closed at 51-cent credit. But I'm just showing you that there's ways to take advantage of stocks that have had extremely large moves intraday, where the implied volatility rank is 100, and you can do something like a short put spread, like an iron condor. This is a short put spread. If I wanted to have taken more risk today, I could have widened it out a little bit. And if I wanted to iron condor it off, I could have sold, for example, the 110, 115 call spread as well, and then collected some additional credit. So one of the cool things about this platform is you can set it up as a put spread, and you can then add a call spread to it anytime and iron condor off anything you want. So it's kind of neat in that regard. Fausto, is there a specific underlying you'd like to talk about?
I was watching the Celgene trade myself today, and then just wanted to know, just kind of know, is there any leaps that you could do on could you see a leap trades on the Celgene?
Well, the leap trades they're all built in right here. We don't actually we don't list them as leaps, but they're just, you can January of 2019, January of 2020, all the options that are in the kind of in 2018, we consider those to be, by definition leaps. And the front month options, December, January, March, those would be pretty much regular options. Then once you get out to June, September, January of 19 and January of 20, those are pretty much leaps. But if you wanted to trade Celgene, it has a pretty flat vol skew going, or vol curve going all the way out to, for a few years from now. So it's not, and the stock's definitely in play. So if Celgene was the kind of company where you're like, wow, you know what, this stock was just trading 150 and now it's trading down to, $97 or something. It closed at 99, but 97. And you said you wanted to buy something in there. I mean, it's the kind of thing where we would go out to like maybe March of next year, and I don't know, sell the, you have a pretty decent return on capital by selling the 85 or the 90 puts. And if you sold the 90 puts, you're getting long stock at 86. I mean, that's or 80, 85 and a half. I don't know how else you would play it, but with IV rank at 100, that's probably, something that you're looking to do. If you're talking about, a stock that's just dropped $50 and it's lost 50% of its value, that's kind of the interesting play if you're looking at it from a long-term perspective. Or you can sell a put spread as well.
Now, Tom, could you explain a little bit more? Actually, don't mind me. I'm registering an account with you as we're talking. I'm hoping to make sure I get all my accounts up and running with you. But
Okay, that's fine.
could
Cool.
you tell everybody the benefits of, a lot of people are always concerned about, and I was there. I met with your staff, and we went over how fast and how quick transactions getting executed. But can you explain a little bit more, not just how quick the platform is, but the cost savings compared to everybody else? Because I know that's like one of the biggest issues. I know everybody, like, I'm always the person that I tell people, listen, the least of your problem is what you're spending per ticket. It's about the technology and the customer service and, and making sure you got somebody that's there for you. Because I could spit out 10 different brokerage firms, and everybody's telling me, well, this guy's cheaper, this, that. Cheap doesn't get you good, as much as you're very, very competitive, extremely competitive in the industry. So you're getting best of both worlds. Maybe you can kind of tell them a little bit more about that, and then they can see the benefit of why they should open up with TASTYWORKS and
Sure.
close their account and work with you.
There's a lot of benefits, and I would say the number one benefit is know-how. We provide, an incredible amount of know-how and history in this industry. I have sold firms in my lifetime for a lot of money, you know, $750 million, a lot of money, and to other firms that have actually never even downloaded the software until they bought our company. So as crazy as it sounds, one of the things that we do is we use our own technology every day, all day long. Like I'm using TastyWorks platform, just like I used past platforms that we've built in, you know, in a different lifetime, use those nonstop. I use TastyWorks nonstop, and so does Scott, so does Chris, and so does everybody that's here. So one of the things that we do is we are very in tune with our own technology. We know what's going on front to back, and that's something that is incredibly rare in the industry. You know, in the online brokerage industry, there are very few, you know, CEOs and executives of online brokerage firms that use their technology every day in almost every capacity imaginable, and that's the coolest piece. Do we route orders faster than everybody else? My argument would be yes. We built this technology on this new technology is all built on a high frequency middleware. It is incredibly fast, but to be fair, that's not going to make a big difference. You know, the blink of an eye is not going to make a big difference to the average customer fill. You know, whether or not you're long cell gene, it wouldn't have mattered at what pace you were filled at on your order flow, on your orders today. So the reality of faster technology, it's nice to know you have fast technology, but it doesn't make a huge difference to your bottom line. It's just something that you want to, you know, you always want to be with the firm that has cutting edge technology, and that's what we have. The other thing that we decided to do, and I think I told you this last time we were on, is that when we built this platform, we built it with pricing in mind. One of the reasons that we had to build all new technology was, one, to control the way that we scaled the technology so that it met our content. And the other reason was we needed to build technology that allowed us to give individual investors an opportunity to be successful. In order to do that, we knew we had to lower prices by about 75% from the current, you know, industry. So we changed the whole industry on January 3rd, 2017, and we came out with a pricing model that reduced prices across the board by about 75 to 80%. That saved individual investors this year throughout the entire industry a few $100 million because of our aggressive pricing schedule. We came out with numbers that nobody had ever seen before, with all the same service that we offer, and it was really cool. We basically took 80 cents and put it back in everybody's pocket from every dollar that they spent in transactional costs. And we ran hundreds of thousands of Monte Carlo simulations to prove to ourselves that that was the rate we needed to get to in order for customers to be on a completely level playing field with their counterparty. So the TastyWorks platform charges $1 for option commissions, and that's for both ways, in and out. So that was the cheapest we could make it, with no ticket charges, anything else, so that somebody could trade small, could trade often, and could be successful because they could compete with anybody else in the industry on either side of the markets. So we built technology to facilitate trades really fast and to make it really simple to use the most complex strategies. And then we drove it home with the lowest prices in the business. And we felt like that's why TastyWorks is the fastest growing platform in the world, which is really cool. And we're very good at building front-end brokerage technology and changing the industry. And this time we've done it with price, technology, and content. And we also, listen, you know what? I support you and everybody else the same, and so does Scott, so does Chris, so does everybody else. We do an incredible job, you know, answering every question on any level with everybody that we have at this firm. And whether it's a research question, a technology question, or a personal question, we're pretty generous with everything that we have. And everybody that's listening today that knows us knows that. I don't think we've ever shied away, and we've been very transparent and open about who we are in this industry and you know what we offer, from everything like you said when you introed us, from live shows to webinars like we're doing today. And I think that that's important because you got to know who's behind the curtain, man. You got to know it.
You know, you get a lot of, you know what, like, you're right. I mean, everybody, there's a lot of, how can I say it? there's a lot of opportunities out there to open up accounts with certain brokerage firms, and no one realizes. One of the biggest things I always tell everybody, what convinces me to open up an account with somebody, it's not about what you spend, it's the customer service and being transparent out there, and those people being available for you, and that's why where you are today and what you've been doing and making things accomplished. Not only that, but also having the staff that follows you around, and not having a big a turnover ratio, because people love working with you, and that's what the customers have to realize, that it's not it's not just about the cheap ticket or this or that, or the quote unquote the name of the company. It got great commercials, this and that. It's also about I always look at it's always the customer service too that comes along with it, because you got the greatest platform, you can have the greatest company, business name you could visit with, but if you're not going to have the support out there, you end up blowing up your account, and that's what everyone has to look at it. Tom, regarding with the platform, I forgot to always ask you, is it an open API that you could also apply things to it, or is it a closed API?
So when we built Thinkorswim, we never opened the API because we felt that it had the potential to compromise some of the back-end technology. On TASTYWORKS, we've actually just completed a API to the platform. We have not opened it up yet to our customer base, but we will. So it's on our short list, agenda-wise, to open an API up, which will be a full open API. There's a lot of aspects to it which I'm not technically smart enough to give you all the details about. Just it's a RESTful Java API and all this other kind of stuff. But I will give you, anybody that wants more information can email support@tastyworks, or just talk to Scott and Chris right now. The game plan is, last time I talked to our CTO, the API was complete and it's actually operational, but we haven't released it yet to the public. So we plan to release both an API and a scripting language over the course of the next couple of months.
Tom, one thing I have to disagree with you. I wouldn't say you saying not smart enough to do that. I think you're very smart at what you do. You built this platform as being phenomenal. So I wouldn't. I get it, but
I don't like to get. I don't like to. To me and you, and when we talk technology, Fausto, like when you and I talk about technology, or we talk about something like that, we can convince ourselves that we know what we're talking about. But when we talk to technologists, they laugh at me. They're like, "Will you please don't embarrass us?" So that's all.
I get you. It's like talking to a lawyer and trying to question him. It's like you can't go anywhere. We're good at what we do. But Tom, how long does it take? So regarding about the, is there anything else people need to know about, like regarding about? I know regarding about the platform, we're going to showcase it on Cybersecurity University. A lot of us, we have a professional trading room. We showcase a few platforms. TASTYWORKS is going to be another preferred platform that's going to be showcased on certain days. And I know we have a lot of options traders, that also want to leverage themselves in stock trading when they do stock trade on it. But regarding about, I don't know, is there anything else that somebody needs to know regarding about clearing? Who's the clearing, or regarding about anything else regarding about account information? Anything you need to know about that will also separate you, or what they need to know about opening up an account?
I don't think there's anything. I mean, we clear through Apex, which is the largest independent clearing firm, and they're owned by Peak 6, and we have multiple ongoing relationships with that firm. So I think we're pretty comfortable with our clearing arrangement. I think that the one thing you want to know about TASTYWORKS, which was really important to Scott and myself when we built it, is that we want this platform to be available to independent, self-directed traders. That means, and this is, I think, really important, Fausto, we have no professional customers. We have no professional traders, no prop firms, no registered accounts, no member accounts, no high-frequency accounts, no RIAs. And so the platform is strictly built for individual self-directed investors. And the platform doesn't even offer things like mutual funds or managed products. Now you're saying, well, how is that an advantage for me? it's an advantage because nobody's going to slow the platform down or slow down what we've built with some kind of, you know, trading algo or anything like that. And more importantly, we are not going to be conflicted, and nobody is going to try to call you up and sell you anything because we don't even offer anything. So there's nothing you can do at TastyWorks except trade your own account. And I think that that's really important because every single person listening today knows that if they're with any one of the big firms, they've been solicited hundreds of times over the years for different managed products, different passive investments, having somebody else manage their money and doing everything else. And it gets to be really annoying. It's like a bait and switch. We do not do any of that. There's nothing we sell, and there's no products we sell, and there's nothing else that you can even buy with us. So all we do is allow you to trade your own account. And we did this on purpose. We knew it would cost us some of the ratings with some of the big, who's got the best brokerage and all that kind of stuff, but we didn't care. We wanted the cleanest, most efficient online brokerage firm that allowed you to trade stock, options, or futures at the lowest price with the fastest technology, no bloat, and no sales. And I think that people will really appreciate that because we give you the highest level of service imaginable and none of the baggage that comes with that. And to us, we think that's every trader's dream.
You know, I never really thought about that, Tom, but that's very, very savvy of you. You know, you're right. You know, I purposely have several accounts with a lot of brokerage firms, not only just to trade with them, just to learn it. You know, you have to know what, because I know a lot of students use different platforms. I just want to know how they work and what they do and stuff. And you're right, they get solicited all the time, and they look how much money's in your account. They're selling you wealth management. Then hey, how's it going? And they just listen to you for all different things. And you know what? That is very, very savvy of you. I never really thought about that, but that's right. You know, all the listeners out there, they're all like that.
Sorry. Fausto, this entire industry is conflicted by asset gatherers, and we want to be the one thing you can tell every one of your clients, every one of your followers, every one of your subscribers is the one thing about TastyWorks that's different from all the other firms is you will never be solicited for any kind of a passive or management investment. We purposely do not offer any of those things, and the reason is there's no bait and switch here. Every other firm out there, Fidelity, Schwab, TD, you name the firms, they hit you, you open an account, and this is what drove me crazy about partnering with those firms as well, is you open an account and you fund it and you start trading. Next thing you know, your phone starts ringing off the hook. Hey, let us manage the rest of your money. Hey, let us manage the rest of your money. Hey, let us manage the rest of your money. I'm like, could you go away? Could you go away? Could you go away? It drove me out of my mind. So we do absolutely none of that, and it's super cool.
And you know what? For everyone out there everyone listening, you got to understand too, that is a huge, huge profitable market for them. For all those companies do it to manage your money, because that's realistically where they make their money. You think they make money paying you 1% in the bank? They need that money, and that's by doing that. I don't think what's the old saying, Tom? They say be good at one thing, but can't be jack of all trades. What's that? There's a slogan that you can't do everything, but just focus on one. And I guess that's what TastyWorks is really building their platform around. So I think
Listen,
that's the way to kind of.
I'm a hardcore junkie about supporting individual investors and their goal to build wealth. I don't care if you do it through stock scalping, futures trading, a combination of stock options and futures, a combination of different strategies, different underlyings, whatever floats your boat, whatever turns you on, do it. But I want to be the one who facilitates that and supports that with really cool technology, really low prices, and amazing content. And if that fits you, then we're the perfect firm. And the other thing is we're completely committed to the customer. I mean, I do this every single afternoon, and I don't care about the complexity. So if you want to talk about, like, I have Celgene up in front, but if you want to talk about the most complex option strategy, happy to do it. You want to talk about complex index arbitrage, we're happy to do it. We are customer only, and we do not manage any customer funds, not a penny of it.
You know, I do the same thing at Cyber University. I in the beginning doing this for 25 years, everybody says, "Could you teach me?" Do you guys do forex? Do you guys do futures? Do you guys do swing trading? And after a while, it's like and these people like don't bother me, or and it's unmanageable. That's why I specifically I know how to trade them if I need to trade them. Do an option trade, know how to do it. But I specifically stock trade, day trade, swing trade, and that's it. So, I get that all. And I hope everybody sees that the value of that because that is a very, very important tool. But with that said, Tom, is there, you know, making TastyWorks stand out? I mean, what does everyone needs to realize? Where's TastyWorks going, and how big you think TastyWorks is going to be compared to the industry? I mean, we're looking to make this platform.
Well, right now it's the fastest growing platform in the world, like I mentioned before, and that gives us a lot of that makes us feel good because we know we've changed the industry multiple times, and we're excited about being able to do that. Our goal is just to sit back and build this business, and we're very excited. We have some things coming out next year that we think are right now this year 2017 was about getting down to the basics and building the things that we felt are super important. And some of the cool things that are coming out, we'll have portfolio margins soon. We'll have a brand new analysis page. We'll have a virtual platform and all that stuff, and multiple more mobile apps and all that kind of stuff. And that's all really cool. But in 2018, we're going to be doing things like, we're going to be introducing everything from product ideas to lots of new research and strategies that people have really never even thought about before on a retail level. And when you see it, it's going to be a game changer. And we're completely open to cryptocurrencies in the future. We're open to as soon as Bitcoin goes listed, of course we'll have those kind of products. But we also think that the nature of alternative products is going to change dramatically over the next couple of years, and we will be on the forefront of that, participating in, as long as the markets are cleared and we don't have to worry about who our clearing partner is, meaning that they have to be kind of cleared, third-party cleared, not cleared with the counterparty. And as long as we can find third-party clearing to offer alternative products, we will be very aggressive in that regard, so that whether it's betting on an election in 2020 or trading around an election in 2020, whether it's trading various forms of cryptocurrencies, in 2018 and 2019, whether it's trading something that that doesn't even exist yet, like some other kind of volatility index or something that you'll be surprised to see. We plan to be on the forefront of all that, and we will not hold back. So one of the neat things is we plan to be an aggressor. Like some of the things that we're working on now is the ability to do things in IRA accounts that nobody else allows you to do. Those are the kind of things that cost lots of money, that we aggressively go after, from a regulatory side, that we aggressively go after from a legal side, and from a trustee side, and those are the kind of things I think people will be excited about using, in years to come on the TastyWorks platform.
Tom, there's a lot of questions coming across here regarding, and one of the most popular one that's coming up, and it's one thing you guys, I know you're working on it, but one thing you got to do, you got to get this platform in Canada. I know Canada's so hard to get up there, and I remember when we first, actually me and Tom, everyone here doesn't know this, but my original place I met Tom was up in Canada, at the Financial Forum for some of the Canadians out there. And and I remember just going back and forth up there, and they were just dying to get the platform. Eventually, you got it up there through TD Ameritrade.
It's
TD Waterhouse, was it?
We opened TOS Canada years ago. I went through the entire process. We're in the process of going through it again with TastyWorks. The problem right now is that we're trying to finalize a clearing arrangement with some, in Canada, for all the Canadians that are listening today, Canada is a very it's a small country as far as the number of available clearing firms, and most of the clearing firms are owned currently by 5 or 6 of the large banks there. So there's not a lot of clearing options in Canada. Last time around, there was one clearing option. That company's no longer around. So it's just a question of clearing options. As soon as we get that settled, we will finalize our Canadian efforts, and we'll go and finish up getting licensed in Canada. We hope to be in Canada and Australia in 2018. I mean, we are working we are basically working on both almost around the clock. It's incredibly expensive. It is something that we're committed to doing. We have our largest customer base outside of the US in Canada, and so we plan to get there. It's just, it's a regulatory challenge, that's all.
And another thing I just want to compliment Tom, everyone know this, but just everybody, and if you know Tom Sosnoff for a long time, he's very passionate. He built one platform. I keep telling him, Tom, why are you doing this again? Why are you starting all over? You did great. You sold TastyTrade. You sold Thinkorswim. Why are you doing this? He says, you know what, Fausto, what am I going to do? I love what I do. And that's what it makes us educators so passionate to let you guys know. And just to see him come out with a new platform like this, I know this was in the works for a long time. He was telling me about it, but watching his show and being part of that and seeing, I fell off my chair when and I saw the new space. Some people don't realize it, how involved and how passionate you are, and let me tell you guys, that's when you have that kind of a commitment and a passion. That's the kind of platform you're going to get, where you're not going to just deal with Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't want to bash any other companies I dealt with, but listen, you know Tom, dealing with you got to go through this guy, you got to go that guy, you want to have this one approval and that approval, and next thing you know, it's like 6 months down the road. So, it's not that. Everyone's got to realize, if you want something, if you like something that you want to see on the TastyWorks platform, I know for a fact, you put it in. Listen, his top programmers are logged in right now, and they want the feedback, and they want to see, what do you need, and we'll get up, and they get that thing done more than anything. Obviously there's things out of the hands they can't do, but they'll get that thing done. And there's times I ask brokerage firms, hey, could you just do this? And like, oh, it's too much money, or I got to do this. It's a nightmare. But I tell you, that's one of the great benefits. And let me tell everyone also, you are at the beginning of the infancy stages of the TastyWorks, because they just launched the brokerage firm starting. And let me tell you, get into it now. Trust me, like, if you were in the beginning where Thinkorswim started, and now you get TastyWorks, it's going to be a totally different game changer, and such a great platform. And just to be, that's the way to go about it. I'm not trying to, open my town TastyWorks that much. I just love the people that work at your company, Tom. I love your staff. I love your show. I love the platform. And I'm just so happy that we're able to team up again and help market it.
One nice thing we offer, which I should just mention, is we offer something called the Works. So you don't have to go through the whole process of figuring out, like, what should I sign up for? You just click on one button, basically. It's called the Works, and you get approved for stock options and futures, and that allows you to do anything. And that's very rare in this industry. We don't make you jump through hoops or go over all these different hurdles and stuff like that. So it's a really easy process to just get the blanket approval for everything, which is cool, because we believe that everybody should be suitable for for whatever they want to do with their own capital.
I know Tom's got to, we're almost finished here. Just really quick for about 5 minutes. Does anyone have any specific question you want to ask Tom regarding about anything? So before we let him go, regarding about the trading or something else, just kind of like wrap things up. Young generation, cool people
Nothing's
out there,
off
Tom.
limits, so you can just ask me anything.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. One thing I notice a lot, Tom, is that Victor just mentioned, there's a new generation of people, young kids. I mean, you're talking about Bitcoins. My son, he just did something over the summer at Marist College. He wants to learn about, he wants to take a business major, and he wanted to do something over the weekend to learn a little, do something, because he's starting college this year, but he did it as a summer program. He's a senior. And I literally can't believe how many kids out there are trading Bitcoins and are getting into it. And it's just like, I heard about it 3 years ago, but I never thought about it. And listen, is it, if it's Bitcoins, if it's Forex, if it's stock trading, let me tell you guys, this is where it's going. Stockbrokers are out of business. You've probably seen it also, Tom, that now a lot of stocks, 20% of stocks, the brokerage firms, market makers losing money. Now they passed a rule with the 5 cent spread now. It just shows you that, and see where the market is right now. I mean, it's just it's been an unbelievable rally and everything else. So it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when, guys. You know, it's enough to start taking matters in your own hands. It's just that the one thing that I always want to leave everybody off, and why we all love doing this, is that you got to learn how to do this first. You got to learn how to trade. You know, you got the great platform, the great team, everything, but you have to learn from mentors. So keep watching the show. You know, get a good mentor and go from there. So what happens? Steve has a question. Does the platform offer Forex?
You mean it offers CME currency trading, but not spot Forex. We're not going to offer spot Forex because of the counterparty risk, meaning that we're not going to store customer funds at firms that we can't clear at the OCC or CME.
And what about Bitcoin? Is that in the futures? In the future for
Well, they don't.
TASTYWORKS?
There is currently there is no current there's no listed Bitcoin exchange yet. There is currently there are multiple filings by the CME and the CBOE to list Bitcoin later this year, early next year. When they launch it, we will have it.
That's what fascinates me, because that's one of the reasons why I was very petrified of Bitcoin, because it's not regulated. So does that mean it's going to be regulated now? That if they're gonna start listing it?
Well, Bitcoin itself is not going to be regulated, but the trading will be. So that if you make a trade and you make a trade with me, that trade is going to be cleared at some central clearing, which is going to guarantee the trade. What we don't want to do is turn our customer funds over to some company that's not even in the U.S., that we don't even know if they have any money or not, and put customer funds there. So we won't do that. So we're going to wait until it's listed on the exchanges, and once it's listed on the exchanges and it's cleared centrally, then all the trades are guaranteed. Then we will offer Bitcoin.
Okay. I don't know if this is a question, but could you pay by credit card to open up an account?
No,
I
you cannot.
do that anymore. No, I can't do that anymore. Those are the old Forex days.
You can in the Forex world in different countries, but you can't do that in the U.S.
Yeah, they banned that a long time ago. I remember that. All right, so listen, Tom, all I could say is thanks for taking the opportunity to be here again, and
Sure, anytime.
look forward to having you here again. I'll talk to you next week. I'll see you, see you in Vegas. I'll be there with my wife. She'll be happy to see you again. But I remember all those good times we had at the, hanging out at the W Hotel, which was pretty fun. We had a good time back then. It's always great meeting with you and hanging out and hanging out with the staff and all that stuff. In the meantime, guys, the link is up there. If you want to register it, once again, we're going to be showcasing a lot in our trading room. And like I said, it's always nice to learn a little bit of all different platforms. I always go tell everyone, you can't learn from one mentor. You got to learn from several. So even that alone with platforms, just because you have a platform, I know a lot of people don't like change, but if you have somebody that shows you how simple and how beneficial and how profitable it can make you, listen, you might like it, and it'd be okay. You might, it's okay for a change. It's a little bit, it's hard in the beginning, but let me tell you, when you start playing around with it, you start realizing that it's always for the best. The hardest thing is making the change the first time around. So with that said, guys, Scott and Chris and Tom, thanks so much for being here. And thanks to the staff of CTU, and thanks all the students showing up and supporting CTU and listening to Tom. And I'll see you guys all in the morning. And Tom, thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you on the show again.
Awesome. Thanks, Fausto. You're the best, man. Thanks.